So what Winters does, and you saw how far it is. By the way, the guns were just right there. And that hedgerow pointed towards Utah Beach. So they're close. But by this time, the invasion bombardment is going, so there's all kinds of noise. Winters is going to conduct what's called the leader's recon, and he doesn't have to go far. He only has to go one field. So that hedgerow on the far side of the field, Winters is going to be on the other side of that. He's going to move along to where these two hedgerows intersect. Now, when you look at the hedgerow in this direction, that's where you make the German guns work. But the hedgerow itself, I told you about the archaeological dig or the dig that they're doing there. So they've taken down a lot of the hedges there to do the digging. But you had guns 2, 3, and 4. And then there was one gun at a 90-degree angle on just around the corner there. So Winters goes down there. He doesn't actually see all 4 guns, but he knows that's what a German gun battery is. He can hear it. He knows about how many folks are in there. It could be upwards of 50 to 80 guys, depending with the battery. So he turns around, goes back, grabs Compton, realizes that he needs to attack 2 guns simultaneously. So they're at 90-degree angles. Winters is going to take one, Compton's going to take the other. So he splits the forces up. With Compton, you've got Malarkey, Garnier, Joe Toy, Harwood Lipton. The Lipton tree, it's gone. But it would have been over there. And I'm talking to Carwood and just kind of asking him about the attack, and while he was standing there looking unbelievably elegant, because that was just Carwood. And he talks about, he said he can't see anything, the attack's gone in. So Compton and his guys have attacked gun number 2. Winters and his guys right after that attacked gun number 1. And Harwood can't see anything, so he's like, oh, a tree. So he climbs up in the tree, and he says, sort of very methodically, and he sees the Germans, and he takes his carbine and he unfolds the stock, and he aims and he starts shooting, just like he did in training. And he says it isn't until he starts noticing all the leaves and the branches like exploding around him that he said that was the moment that he realized, oh, this is real. And he scooted very quickly back down the tree. The one thing about, the series really captures the chaos of the controlled chaos of what we call a hasty attack, which is what Winters did here. And compressing it into a short amount of time. This battle, to take the 4 guns, took hours. So, because the intensity of this kind of attack, you get physically exhausted. They're burning up a lot of ammunition. So, once the first 2 guns are taken, there's a pause. The Germans are actually getting worn out. We're starting to run low on ammunition. Winters sends some guys back to bring up some more ammunition, and then he comes up with a plan how they're going to take gun number 3. And that was something that Dick Winters was very good at. It's reading the pace of a fight. He gets, the peaks and the lulls, intensity of fighting and fire, and when there was a lull. When the enemy was having to reload its machine guns, or when they were displacing the other positions. He was very good at reading that. So this fight, which kicks off about 8 in the morning, all 4 guns aren't going to be taken until about noon. Because Winters was aggressive. No problem. Was aggressive, but also methodical. So he knew the only way to take the guns was to go down through the trenches. because if you got out of the trenches, the German machine guns that were on the opposite side of the field were firing at shin height. Those machine guns are in prepared positions, set down to what we call grazing fire. That if you're lucky, you can roll crawl under the fire, but if you stand up, you're going to get hit. So that's why Winners did this very methodical, okay, we captured 2 guns, we need to get gun 3, we need more ammunition, we need a rest, we need to blow up the guns, and then do the attack. Dog Company doesn't necessarily do a separate attack. Spears does lead it. He's got some guys from Dog Company and some guys from F Company. And there's only about 6 or 7 of them. And so he works his way down through the trenches. He gets to gun number 3. Winners briefs him what's going on. And when he does his attack, he jumps out of the trench and charges gun number 4. And everybody's like, you're nuts. And he's going to lose, of the 6 guys that were with him, 2 are going to be wounded and 1's going to be killed in just a short charge. But that's the kind of guy Spears was. He was always going to take the aggressive approach. So, and this, like I said, it's now about noon. 4th gun is taken. At that point, they withdraw. The Germans are still in the manor house. They know that they've knocked out the guns. There's a oh gosh, this word, I'm gonna blank on another name. There's a guy who wound up being high up in the Nixon administration. I'll get his name in a second. But he was actually on Utah Beach, and he was a medic. And he says they were just taking a terrific pounding. And he talks about sort of late in the morning when it just stops. And you know that correlates to these guys knocking out the guns. The second phase of the battle is the 2nd Battalion guys, which includes Dog, Easy, and Fox, moving forward. At this point, we're getting some tanks from the 4th Armored, for the 4th Infantry Division, have made it up off Utah Beach, and so they come up here, and they're the ones, the 4th Division guys, who are going to do the final attack that's going to take the manor. It's during that fight that Charles' father, who was 14 at the time, is shot. And he's shot by an American. We don't know who, but it was an American weapon. When word gets back to Colonel Sink, which his CP's not too far, that we accidentally shot a young civilian, no civilians were supposed to be treated or evacuated to England. Sink ordered that Charles' dad be evacuated. So even though Michel was shot by an American, he really remembers being so well taken care of. So when he comes back, he becomes the mayor of Saint-Marie-du-Mont, which his son Charles is now the mayor of Saint-Marie-du-Mont. But it's his dad, Michel, who in the 1960s comes up with the idea of setting up a museum. Now understand, the French appreciated being liberated, but they didn't have fond memories of the invasion. It's so fresh in their mind. And so there weren't D-Day commemorations. That didn't start happening until Americans would come over like in '64, but not until later that the French started getting involved, because a lot of French people died. And everybody was against this idea, but Michel really pushed it. And of course, he gets the museum set up. It becomes a huge success, and now it's one of the biggest attractions, in France. But we now have enough time that the French are far enough away from that immediate pain that they can celebrate